Thank you, Carl. The reason I'm grouchy is trying to follow somebody like that. I'm not about to tell any jokes, so we'll just move on into this. But yeah, it's wonderful to be here tonight. I want to thank Fred Acey and Jimmy Stagneter and all of you for being here tonight. You can run through the notes and the letter that I kind of wrote to you all at the beginning, but most importantly, I want to thank David Metzbauer and all the great assistants I've had at Princeton University and all the great players, because without them I certainly wouldn't be standing up here tonight. I spoke a few years ago on transition defense, and that's when Fred Acey hadn't lost his mind, so he thought I was going to speak on that again tonight, and so he just put that down. But we're not going to talk about transition defense. We're going to talk about sliding defense, and so hopefully you'll follow along with me. If at any time during talk anybody has a question, if it's real specific, I'll be glad to answer it then. If not, let's try and wait until the end, and I'll be able to go through it. A lot of what I'm about to tell you, and I'll try, is some drill type things that we do that help you move into your sliding defense. But I want everybody to understand that tonight you may hear some things that 90% of you are going to shake your head no at, and all I can tell you is that I've been going to these conventions for a long, long time, and I can remember when I was a young coach and sat out where you were and listened to guys talk about how they time all their kids in a quarter of a mile on their 2-mile run, and all 6 of their managers are out there, and with all their equipment they had special timers and clocks, and they wrote it all down and were able to counsel each kid individually. That's not what this is about. The point I want to make to you is what I'm going to say to you tonight is exactly what we do. Some of you may not believe it, some of you may, I hope you do, but hopefully you get a little bit out of it. But it is what we do. We believe in a multiple defensive strategy, and the key word for us is slides. And obviously that's why we have the word sliding defense tonight as my topic. The key to a sliding is that in our system, we'd rather you slide too early rather than too late. Lots of teams have the great defensive guys, the individuals who can take the ball away. The teams that feel that no slide is the best slide, you play good positional defense and we'll just stop them, and if not the goal, you'll make the save. I think that's a wonderful way to play, but at Princeton University we don't get those kind of people. And in fact, at top 205 camp and some of the Empire games and Garden State games, walk up to some kid you think's a great defenseman, he's a great checker, he sees me coming, he takes off going the other direction. They don't want any part of the way we play defense. So what we do defensively now is take attackmen, give them a long pole, and tell them they're going to be a defenseman, and we've been fortunate to do that. So our approach is totally opposite this. We still play good position, but it's positioned within our system, and I think that's an important thing to remember. All right. We just feel that we don't look for takeaways. That's not the way to go. Every year we have about half the number of fouls, and I think man up, man down is the key ingredient to winning and losing lacrosse games. And if you only have 50 fouls over a 15 or 16 game season, you're going to do better than a team that has 120 fouls or 130 fouls. And so we don't want to foul. We want to play positional defense, and most of all, and down the bottom of that one paragraph there, and this is the truth, is the day we start with our defensive middies especially, we encourage them to get beat. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as we move on. Coaching points, you must be sold on this concept. I'm totally sold on this concept. In 1983, I spoke at the convention, talked about our double team defense when I was at RIT, and I was sold on that, and that was kind of the same thing, except the rotation was a little bit different, and I believe in this. If you're going to half coach this defense, it's really not a good way to go, because you've got to live with some mistakes sometimes. Kid forgets to slide, or a kid goes too early and it becomes too evident, and then the backup doesn't get there and they throw one in easy on the crease. Those things are going to happen. But I think if you're sold on the concept, this is a lot of fun. And what's great about a sliding defense, and a quick sliding defense in particular, is that it can do it at all levels. I don't care if you're talking about Division I athletes that can run the 4.4 40, or 10-year-olds that can't run at all. I think it's a great way to go, and they can learn how to help one another without being put on the spot. And secondly, you must understand the whole package, and I think this is true in any kind of coaching. So often you have a kid ask you a question, and what happens is you don't know the answer, so you lie to him, or you try to sound good, and it just doesn't work. So have an answer to each question if you can. Real quickly, types of sliding packages that can be used. We use a rotation, a crease slide, which is what I'm going to spend a lot of my time on here tonight because it's what we do the most, or what we call bumping through. A near man, far man concept, which would be one where nearest guy to the ball is going to slide, or the furthest man from the ball is going to slide. And finally, a combination of any one of those three. And then we combine that with the types of slides, meaning most aggressive to least aggressive. A double team slide would be the most aggressive type slide. Guy next to me has his back turned to me, I'm going to go. And I don't care, what happens around me, we're going to double team on that. The second, again, the one that we use the most is what we call a slide and recover system. You slide early, somebody recovers back to the crease, and hopefully you never have a man down situation. And thirdly, what goes hand in hand with those two real aggressive slides is the opportunity to fake slide. Lots of teams scout. You all scout, I'm sure, or at least have seen teams twice during the year. And when they start to find out, wow, they're coming early, let's bop the ball around, or let's get it to X, we'll then go to the next level, which would be fake sliding. Guy drives down the side, you fake your slide, you come back, and they're throwing it around the perimeter doing nothing to score a goal. And that helps a great deal. And then finally, in a situation where, even in our situation, we've had kids like Todd Higgins, David Morrow, who've been the great defenders. We'll have a late slide and maybe count on them to do a little bit more individually than the others. So if you take those 4 different sliding packages and those 4 types of slides, very quickly you can have 16 different types of defenses. And I think nobody wants 16 different defenses, and so we don't tell them it's 16 defenses. We just explain the 4, and they don't know any better when you start packing them together. Some other factors that can affect your overall defense, pushing out on the adjacents. In a little while I'm going to talk about the 4-on-4 drill we do all the time. Those extra 2 guys can push out on the adjacent. Who do you want to push out on? Well, you want to push out on teams that have set plays. Ball goes from midi 1 to midi 2 to attack, wing attack to X. Well, that kind of team, if you push out adjacent on them, they're going to have trouble with their timing. They're going to have trouble getting that ball around. And so I think that's something that you might want to do. Shutting off a stud, shutting off 1 or 2 men, that can really make people feel bad about their offense. And again, if you incorporate our 4-on-4 stuff that I'm going to go through in a minute, you can do all these things. You can shut off 2, you can shut off with your short sticks, you can shut off their best player with your best defenseman, and so many things that don't change the defense any, the slide package any, but change your look. When the other coaches are trying to figure out what you're trying to do out there, this can really come in handy. Zones. Lots of times we use zones, and they look very much like zones. We put our sticks up in the air and we're yelling zone and all that stuff. It's the same basic thing. Although we do have a base zone that we do use at times, you can make things appear to be very intricate and very different with just some subtle little coaching points. And then we may have to, if you're down a goal or you need the ball, total shutoffs with no slides at all. But again, this can all appear very intricate, but with simple rules and sound teaching techniques, sliding defenses can become a reality in your program. You've got to be sold on the slide, and the slide is the most important thing. As we said now, getting started, we always start with the one-on-ones, and I think a couple of things that are most important with that is they're in your notes. Within the sliding philosophy of your defense, you do your one-on-ones. And 2, be careful of negative reinforcement. And I want to demonstrate to you what I mean by these things so that they're just more than just words. Within the sliding philosophy of most defenses, is this on? What do we all teach when we first teach middies how to play defense? Is this on? Is everybody here okay? Is we teach square up, get good body position, stick on stick or stick in front, go hip to hip with your man. If he goes right, you put your stick to the right. If he goes left, you put your stick to the left. We don't do that. Okay? And so if you believe in all that, some of this may not be great stuff. We believe in one-on-ones within our package. And our package consists of a total slide, so therefore our one-on-ones, if it's a midi, and I'm covering this microphone here, which is about all I could probably cover, what I want to do is I want to determine which side of the field that guy's on, and I want to drive him down the side, so I might play this guy like this. In fact, I will play this guy like this. And I'm going to make sure of only one thing, and I'll get into this in a second. I'm going to make sure he doesn't cross the middle of the field. So in my one-on-one concept, the chances are when we do one-on-ones, when we do our drill, we're going to get beat more often than not. And so as a coaching point, this is a real opposite situation to what you normally might do. When you're squaring up and you poke or you take the ball away or the guy gets a bad shot off or he doesn't get any shot off, as a coach, or any shot off at all, as a coach you're usually saying, great job, Johnny. For us, if a guy squares up and he takes the ball away, we're all over him. That's not within our concept. For that one-on-one, that's great. And he's going to walk away as a freshman and he's going to say, what the freak did I come here for? This guy's out of his mind. I've been told for 10 years that that's what you do, and now you're telling me the opposite. But what you do is then you look around and you go the other way. Now you get to the side, your stick's upfield, you drive him down the side. Within your one-on-one concept, he's going to put it in the goal every time. Your goalies hate you. And it's really a lot of fun for them because they get shot on every time you do one-on-ones. And every time that happens, we're going, good job, Johnny. And they look at you and they go, what's the problem here? Well, the problem is solved later on. As long as they do their job within the one-on-one concept, which for middies is drive him down the side. Follow him, and if he lifts his stick up to shoot, lift his elbow up, his lead elbow. Okay? Again, he's driving down the side. Most guys to shoot the ball, I haven't seen too many that can hold this elbow down and shoot it with one hand. Although I have one at practice every day that tries, okay? But this, you got to lift your elbow to shoot the ball. And the minute that thing comes up, if you can use this stick as a spoon and lift it, you're going to be in good shape. If not, that's okay too, because within the team concept, we're going to have a guy sliding to you. And so the only thing that can happen, the worst thing that can happen after you drive him down the side is what? Is to get stick on stick and hip to hip. That's the worst thing that can happen because now he'll roll back. Within the sliding concept, you're in trouble. And so we ask you to drive him down the side, follow him if you have to. And this is great because if you've watched this play, you see that, or look at our roster, most of our midfielders are attackmen. Okay, most of the guys, they come to you, only 3 can play attack. And right now, they're not going to bump the 3 that we have out. So we bring them down and we say, you're a middie right now. And the first thing we want you to do is we want you to get beat. And I'm going to repeat this probably 10 times as we talk here because it's true. We want you to get beat just as a middie, get beat down the side. As a wing defender, whether you're a middie or a defenseman, we want you to get beat, but we want you to get beat underneath. Okay, so if, again, I don't want to fall off here, but if the microphone is the wing guy and the goal is at you and facing this way, I'm going to be top side of this guy. All I want him to do is drive underneath, and I've done my job. And in one-on-ones, he's going to score a goal, but he's going to start feeling good about this because you're going to reiterate to him all the time, good job, good job, good job. All right? Ball's behind now. All we want you to do is one thing. Get him to inside roll. All right? As he drives up, goal line extended, our goalie says, most goalies say hold, we say goal line. At the goal line, we got to do one thing and one thing only, and that's do what we call close the gate. No great deal, you've all probably said it. And all that means is as you're running, we want to take, if he's right-handed, we want to take that left foot and swing it around this way so that we can force the inside roll. In one-on-ones, he's going to inside roll, he's going to run into the goal, and he's going to score the goal. All right? But within the concept, you're going to be okay. Just as a side note, every year I've ever been at the convention, coaches talk about holds. The forearm hold, the cross-handed hold, the strong hold, the weak hold, the V hold. We don't hold. We tell guys to play with the stick straight up in the air. And the reason for that is all we want them to do is take their top fist, put it in the lead armpit of a guy playing behind the goal, and you're going to be okay. And the reason you're going to be okay is because now they're not thinking about their stick. Guys get in trouble with one-on-ones when they're thinking about which hold. Am I here? Am I here? Do I switch hands? Do I not? If they're not thinking about their stick, if it's okay to have my stick straight up, because I'm not going to use it anyway for anything other than picking ground balls up and throwing passes, now they think about their feet, and that's all we need them to do. So one-on-ones always within the concept, and we're going to be okay on that. I just real quickly want to want to show you on the overhead just those things so we can. One thing I touched on, but I want to really reiterate is when we start with our middies defense, this is the first thing we do. We bring them down to that end of the field and we say, guys, we want you to get beat. And that takes a lot of pressure off of an attackman or a guy that's played attack for a lot of years. And as long as he knows it's okay to get beat, he's going to be okay playing midfield. Everybody says to me, how do you get him off? How do you get him back on? It doesn't matter if they get off or on. As long as they know they just got to drive a guy down the side. So again, right here, if he's covering X, as long as he stops X from crossing that dotted line, you're going to be in good shape. Same thing with Y, okay? Real simple. The next thing that we touched on a little bit is the behind, okay? If a guy's, is that right? Yep. If a guy's a left-hander, all we want this guy to do is we keep this line going. You know, Freddie Smith, who was the defensive coach when I was at Hopkins for 3 years, you know, I learned almost everything I know about defensive lacrosse from Freddie, but he always said, if he's on this side, he's a lefty. If he's on that side, he's a righty. And it's true. It sounds simple, but it's really true. I don't care what hand the stick's in. If he's on that side, you're going to force the inside roll back that way. If he's on the right, you're going to do the other. Okay? Simple stuff. Okay? And then finally, on the wing dodge, that's all we're looking to do. Keeping in mind that later on I'll be going through the 4-on-4s and you'll see, and then the 6-on-6s, why this is so simple. But it's important that you refer back to this at all times. Okay? Okay. These are just going to show you where the slides, what would happen if we got beat topside. Okay? The first one is up top. Okay? If we covered that guy and drove him down the side, but then if you look at D2, that's where the slide's going to be. When we teach sliding, we teach slide to where he's going to be, not to where he is. So that's where he's going to be, is where D2 is going. If we allow a roll back, we're in trouble. On the wing, which is the second one right here, you get him going down the side, but if you allow, D2 is sliding to where he's going. If you allow him to get you top side, you're in a lot of trouble. You're all alone. And then finally, from behind, same thing. You might have a situation where you do a good job, but you don't quite get your feet swung around. He starts to roll back and then comes back top side. D2 sliding to where he expected the man to go, and you're in trouble. Okay? Confidence in your individual defender or your cover guy is really important in this kind of stuff. 4-on-4s. We believe this is the easiest way to teach the sliding package. And the reason for it is that your two other guys can do lots of different things, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to go through this. I'll probably emphasize the ones on the crease because, again, that's the ones we do the most, but also because those are the ones I made the overheads of. But if you want to look at the other ones or ask on the other ones, I'll be glad to do them. Number one, it's the easiest way to teach your sliding package. You're taking a lot of things out of the way. You're taking 6-on-6 out of it. You're taking guys dropping passes out of it. You know, we do a lot of our defense when we do 6-on-6. Just a note later on, I'll tell you, I may repeat this, but when we do 6-on-6 defense, we do a lot of it without a ball. And because I haven't seen a guy drop one yet. And it's a great way to practice. How many times you get the thing finally set up, you throw a pass and the ball's on the ground. So we play air ball a lot. And that's why you see us sometimes drop a few, but I think it's a great way to teach defense. You play air ball, you blow the whistle, that guy's beat, and now your slides start happening. And it's really a lot of fun for the kids as well. 4-on-4s. Number two, dodging spot can be rotated to simulate game situations. You'll see that we did a ball up top, a ball on the wing, and a ball behind. The other two guys, the other two guys can be taught to fill the crease. If it's a team that's going to feed it in there, deny adjacent, as we said, if they're going to move it around the outside, and that all depends on the sliding package. And then finally, you know and I know enough 6-on-6 will get done later on to kill a lot of practice time. So this is a good way to get some stick work done and to learn the slides without it having too many people out there. So real quickly, I'm going to start with these, and we'll go with the, as I said, the crease slides, and see how it goes. What we'll do is we'll start up top. X has the ball. A's what we're calling the cover man, as you can see in your notes. A's the cover guy. Go back to your one-on-one rules. All we care about, drive him down the side. Okay? He drives him down the side. B is the slider. B is going to go as soon as he's confident that A has done his job. He sees A get a little behind his guy. He sees A maybe looking to lift, but he's confident that A is not going to allow a roll back, and he's go. One of the teaching rules we use on this, and because lots of times the kids will say to you, well, when should I slide? I know you want me to slide on time, you know, when do I go? A good teaching rule on this to teach them is when they see the stick head of the defender go behind the hip, the lead hip of the dodger, that usually means he's beat. It's time to go. Okay, so it's a split dodge. He goes right to left. He's going down the side. The defender's driving him down the side. He's running with him. His stick head starts to drift a little behind him. You better be gone by then. And that's just something to look for. Okay? C is what we're calling the second slide in this situation. This guy is very important. He's got to let B know well ahead of time that it's okay to go. So when we do this drill, coach might stand out here and throw the ball to X, and right about then C is saying to B, I got you back, you know, get ready to go. D might be saying to B, I got you back, get ready to go, because they're not quite sure yet which side A is going to drive him down. But if he's on that side of that dotted line, chances are he's going to keep him on that side. If they want to sweep outside the box, good for them. We'll let them do that. Okay? Now, D can do one of two things. He can fill to the middle and look for the guy that C was covering, or he can press out adjacent depending on what situation you want. Anybody that wants to throw into the crease guy in this situation is more than welcome to do it. One of two things happens. Either the ball gets checked, and what we'll do on this is we'll actually slide to his back on this. We'll slide to his, because if in this situation, chances are X that B was covering is catching the ball left-handed, C will slide to his back because chances are he's going to reach out for the ball. And so we'll slide to his back looking for a chop check. All right, so if they throw it in there, you've got a check. And lots of times what happens is they throw it in there, you get a great check, and then old X is sitting here, the ball dribbles to him, he picks it up and throws it in the goal. And the kids look at you and say, Coach, this defense sucks. But it really doesn't. You know, it's just at that time it didn't work real well. And, you know, that's what you hope that D is around for. So we'll do that. Second of all, what can happen is he can catch it, and he can start looking to shoot. All right, but if C does his job, goes back to rule number one, which is drive your guy down the side, as long as he keeps his guy with the stick in his left hand and drives him away from the goal, that's going to be a pretty easy save for the goalie. Okay, so not too many bad things can happen in there, and more often than not, you see teams try to force the ball in there. Now, they know you're doing this, and so what they may do is they may skip it over the top. They may run the guy that C was covering around to X. There's lots of different things that can happen, but again, you're not getting that dodge, beat a guy, shoot, score, and that's what we're trying to prevent. Every pass that's thrown is a chance for a pass to get dropped. So that's out front. Again, if you look back at your notes, this is crease slide, and just so you would know, when we talk slide and recover, A would go to the crease, and probably the technique that's a little bit different that we talk about all the time is our look-away technique. A would be covering the guy, B would slide to him, C would cover. As soon as A felt that B was there, what we teach the guys is, for A and B is, if you can see the numbers on his back, you keep doubling him, because it means he's running away from you. Okay? If A feels like that guy's starting to turn in for a shot, or to pass it to someone else, he'll release, he'll go to the crease and look away from the ball. And the chances of the player who's open showing up to him are greater when you're looking away from the ball than when you're looking at it. One of the real big differences in our defense is that we try to have one guy looking at the ball and 5 looking away from the ball as much as we possibly can. Okay? And that's important as we get into later on with our 6-on-6. Okay? Behind the goal, as we said earlier, with your one-on-ones, just refer back to your one-on-ones. If you can force that inside roll, B's coming early. And there's nothing worse than having, doing an inside roll, thinking you're going to be free, and getting that slide. In, 94, we had a kid named Nick Lane, who's now in the Marines, and the expression we used to use to the defenseman was, just force the inside roll, and the attackman will get a face full of Nick Lane. And I wouldn't want a face full of Nick Lane. And that's what happened an awful lot. In this situation, we would have C, because we're using the bump through technique right now. He'd slide through. D can help out and cover those two guys up top. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Okay, wing dodge. A's covering. His job, again, go back to your one-on-ones. Drive him down, drive him underneath, keep him underneath. Chase him if you have to, but don't let him roll back up top. This is one of the toughest plays for an attackman or a midi, to drive off the wing and have somebody slide off the crease to him if you go on at the right time. C can bump through, and again, C's always talking to B. You can go, I've got you covered. He can even pre-rotate through and cover that crease guy. All right, D can help on the crease if he has to, unless it's a team that really likes to throw to X, and in that case we would shut off. Okay? Now that's all jumping around a little bit with the ball up top, ball on the wing, and ball behind with our crease slides. With the other slides, for instance, the rotation, we wouldn't want to do the rotation too much if the ball was up top, because I think attackmen are used to playing with their back to the goal, and they really like sliding to the ball and catching that pass and turning and shooting. On the other hand, if it was a team that always looked inside or always looked backside, it might be fun to slide against them that way. Lots of teams use near man, and from up top, it can be either B or either the guy covering 3 or 4, depending on who is closer. In the diagram, obviously 3 is closer, but it may in fact be the other way around. Or what we call our combo, where we'll try to fake them out. We'll try to make them think that we're going rotation, and so you see that first obvious slide from B going up on the dodger, but instead of rotating it, we'll bump then off the crease to the second guy, and usually that attackman will catch that ball and come hard to the goal. And again, if he gets a face full of the crease guy, he's not going to do it too often. With the ball on the wing, the rotation, keep in mind, fellas, the other thing I didn't put on your diagrams is what does A do after each time he gets beat. The rule always is, if you think you got him and you can double him, stay on him, harass him, the 2 adjacents shut off, and we'll chase him all over the lot. If you can't, if you don't think so, then the guy who slid stays, the guy who was on him goes to the crease and looks away. And the reason for that technique, we believe, is that the guy who was originally covering the ball is already done his job. He's had to think about, as you got a stud midi coming at you, he's got to think about why he's down at this end playing defense when his high school coach let him just play attack. He's got to think about doing the right job, driving him down the side. And really all the slider has to do, in our system, it's a no-loss proposition. If he slides too early, or if it doesn't happen, or if the guy throws it in, he can look at me and say, "You don't want to tell me to slide," so no problem here. All right. A is the guy who's got to get back in, look away from the ball, and then pick up on the inside. You should have a second slide every time. So with the balls on the wing, then we can come off the crease and shut X. We can come off the crease and rotate. We can have a rotation, as in the first diagram on the ball on the wing. We can go near man, far man, and this is a great indication. Ball on the wing dodges, the last person that teams ever look to when they're playing offense, when they're dodging off the wing, is the furthest guy away from them. Okay, except if they know you're playing this defense. Okay, and so lots of fun to, as you see one dodging, have B come all the way across. You farthest guy from the ball, he can cheat early because they're not going to look through there, and you can really make it tough on that guy. And then finally, what we call our combo there, we would actually rotate off the bottom guy, which we don't like to do, but if it's a team who doesn't throw to X anyway, it's never going to hurt you. You're going to be playing 6 out front, and they're going to have 5. Okay, and then the ball behind, you can do all sorts of things. The rotation is just like 80% of us were taught to play the game. All right, you force the inside roll, you slide down with B, and then C comes across. The near man would be basically the same, except 3 would bump down to 2 then, or C would bump down for B, and then the combo, you can do a coma slide on that. This all looks, again, very intricate. It's not. If you just teach the kids one of these things, the crease slide, the rotation, the near man, far man, or any kind of combination you can come up with, and they know it, and then you change the strength of your slide. Sometimes you go early, sometimes you go a little later, sometimes you don't go at all, sometimes you fake going, you're going to have a pretty good intricate defense to throw at them. Okay? And then to add to the drill, as it says in your notes, and your defense actually, mix up everything. Mix them all up and have fun with the drill. And these drills can also help you transition defense. Lots of times you're 5-on-4. You guys get a lot of work being man down because you're working slides all the time. So it can help you on that. It helps you make game day adjustments. You may have a team in transition where you want to go near man against. They come down even if it's 4-on-4. Some of the better teams want to go on you. If the kids are used to different kinds of slides, they don't get panicky when it's 5-on-4 or 6-on-5. On invert defense, you might want to rotate for one reason or another. You may not want to come off the crease because they got a great crease guy. So by working on all these slides and drills, you have the opportunity to make it much easier for the kids. And then also offensively, it's a great stick work and recognition drill for your offensive players, and it breaks down your sliding game to its simplest terms. When we use this for an offensive drill, the only change we make is we'll put, anybody knows Coach Metzbauer knows the guy shoots about 80,000 times on goalies every day, and he loves to have a long stick in his hand. All right, so we'll do the same 4-on-4 drill out top, except we'll let Metzi have the pole. All right, because none of our defensemen throw checks, none of them know how to throw overhead checks, and anybody that does causes problems for our middies. So we'll let, once a week, Metzi gets a smile on his face, he goes over the head, or he wraps him, or he beats the crap out of him. All right, it's a great offensive drill. He's got to stay in one spot. If they can get by him, now they get a 4-on-3 behind him. It's a really good offensive drill as well. So I think it's a lot of fun. The guys look forward to doing this drill. Okay, and what I'd like to do is just expand on what we just did and move it into a 6-on-6. Again, if you can stick with the progression here, it's very simple. We've gone from the 1-on-1s. Each guy knows what their job is. Then we went to the 4-on-4. Everything's the same now except for the adjacent guys. And I think these guys can become very important. Just the rules, as you have written, middies don't allow sweeps, drive your man down the side, it's okay to get beat, all the things that we've talked about. And you can read through on those. The key guys now are the adjacent guys, and I think this can change as time goes on in your defense.
Bill, quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ball behind, where do you have your goalie when the attackman drops next?
Okay, the question is, when the ball's behind, where do you have your goalie when the attackman drives from X? My belief about goalies, and I've always believed this, is if goalies would stand on the pipe, take their stick and stuff it somewhere, and just stand on the pipe on the side of the ball, especially at youth levels, junior high, high school levels, you'd save 60% or more of the saves. And so we don't tell the goalie anything other than to get on that near pipe. The only time we ever use our goalie for anything different would be if we need the ball at the end and we might double with him or someone else. Bobby?
When you do these drills, can you tell your offensive players not to make any cuts?
We'll progress. The question was, do we tell the offensive players not to make any cuts when you do these drills? I think when you start out, it's a defensive sliding teaching thing, and so no, they wouldn't move. But the more game-like it gets later on, the more fun it is, and yeah, we'll progress into that, definitely. And sometimes when we did a tape, Bill and Hutch and I did a tape this fall of our defense, and the worst part about doing the defensive tape was Jesse Hubbard trying to screw everything up. And the kid can score between his legs 3/4 of the time. He's going to mess things up. And that's what happens in a drill sometimes, is the offense is going to mess your defense up. But if they see it in practice and they mess it up, don't panic with that. The kid's got to know that, you know, the defense and the sliding part of it will take care of itself. There's always a second slide. Okay? What I'm going to do here real quickly is just go through what our 6-on-6 might look like if we're, you know, if with the ball up top and move on from there. Okay, just going by our general rules. Back to one-on-one. Defensive guy. We will actually tell this guy if he's good and he can square up and make sure the guy goes down the side, that's fine. I can think of some of the kids over the years, Andy Moe, Paul Murphy, Greg Waller, some of those type of guys, Ben Strutt, some of those guys can do that. If the guy's okay, regular midi, maybe his feet are pointed on a 45-degree angle to the corner of the box. And if he's an ex-attackman, then we tell him, you go 90 degrees. You're perpendicular to the guy. Your only job is to drive him down the side. And so he'll be like this. If we want to press adjacent, with this guy will be out. I'll try to do it, let me go back a second. Let me do it the way we did it before so you can follow along. And that would be the adjacent midi. And so, again, if we're confident that our cover guy is going to drive him down the side, we're okay here. He's going to drive him down the side. In this case, with a 2-2-2, B is your slider. He's going to go. C's going to bump over. D's going to fill. Now, if you want to press adjacent, he'll press out. The midi up top, we always tell him to stay at the height of the ball. There's no sense in pressing out if this driving midi is down here. So he'll find his way down because he can always help for a pop out from that type guy. Okay? You're all asking, what if they lob it? We'll recover. We'll recover. Everything changes. If they lob over the top, you know, we're gonna be okay. Remember that lots of things in this defense, it's like man down, lots of things are going to look open on paper. But if you put a lot of pressure on people and you get in their gloves and they're being double teamed constantly, that's an awful tough pass to make all the way through. Okay? And then you just kind of go on from there as far as all the situations. We might play that one what we call soft. We might think that there's no reason to press out adjacent. There's a certain guy on this team, he's never going to pass the ball again in his life. So we'll put this guy right in here. All right, and he can cover if this guy sneaks. We'll take this midi and we'll place him in here. And there's no problem with that. It's still one-on-one. We covered the ball. We drove him down the side. It's still 4-on-4. We did our drill. And now we've just added the perimeters and we can do the adjacents and we can do so many different things with that. Any questions on that? I could probably go through 1,000 different situations with you, but as long as you go back to those basic things, and that's why people always say to me, you know, you've got this system. How do you teach them the system? Well, the system is just very simple. It's just one-on-ones and 4-on-4s. The rest will take care of themselves as you teach them more and more. When there's a mistake made, when we're scored on, we can always refer back to the kids. You got beat top side. You didn't slide early enough. You didn't drive them down the side. You didn't force the inside roll. All right? And that's a nice way to teach as opposed to, you know, I love football coaches dearly, but whenever football coaches get screwed up in their heads and there's a mistake made or the other team does something to them, and I was one of them, I used to do the same thing, the kid would look at you and you'd go, just play football. Well, you know, you can't just say, just play lacrosse, because you better have an answer for these guys, and I think that's very important. If you've got simple answers, it's simple to be able to let them know what they did wrong. And then finally, what I'd like to do is just go through a couple of questions at the end. I talked about why press out, you know, a team's bopping the ball around. Which sliding package is right for my team? Well, I think, you know, it may be just the opposite of what you think. The lesser your team, the more pressure you should put on. Let the slide be the aggressive stuff, not the one-on-one stuff be the aggressive stuff. Should I slide sooner? Yeah, you should slide sooner if they're dodging and shooting and scoring. Should I slide later? Yeah, you slide later if they're dodging and you're seeing the backs of their numbers and they just kind of see you coming and then run away and throw the ball around. Now you can slide later or don't slide at all. Adjustments. If you thought about this, and with all the part I went through, the crease slide. You can't have a crease slide if you're in a circle. Okay, so you've got to make adjustments in a circle defense. Again, just go back to your 4-on-4s. We worked on rotations, fellas. We'll rotate against the circle, or we'll do the double team against the circle. All right, invert offenses. Lots of invert offenses. Take those middies behind. You put you in different situations. What do you say? Oh, sorry. Can you hear him? It's a good way to end things. All right, I got it. If you if you have inverts, then it's real important to have something different, because most teams are inverting. They're looking for something on the inside, so we might go perimeter or near man on that. Always have zones ready. God knows you never know when you're going to need them, and we think we found that out pretty well a year ago. All right, and then have your shutoffs, because you always need something a little bit different to go to. And finally, I think some drills that we're going to go through real quickly, ones that we use all the time that help in this defensive scheme, are really a lot of fun. And where did I go here? I'm all right. I think I'll just stay here. Is that better? Okay. Thank you, Paul. This is going bad. Okay, finally, whenever we do drills, we always name them really intricate things. This one is 6-on-6 to 6-on-5 to 6-on-6. And it really helps in your sliding, you're being down a man, and then getting back in. Basically, we draw that imaginary line down the middle. In this case, guys will be playing 6-on-6. They'll be moving the ball around, doing whatever they want to do. We'll call out number 10. Number 10, if he's on this side of that imaginary line, if he's over here, he'll run to the far sideline, run back into the hole, look away from the ball, and during that time, our slides better take place. Okay? And then he looks away from the ball to pick up the open man. And we'll rotate it around. We'll go 6 times with each group. Each guy gets to run 1 time. The other guys fill in, and it's really a great drill, because you can't duplicate slides all the time, as Bobby, as you said earlier, with the standstill stuff. This gives you a chance to work on your sliding packages after you've been beat, or after things get hectic. Another intricate one, 6-on-6, transition into 6-on-6. Okay, look away drill. Where the X is, we put a little bit of maybe a yellow shirt, goes 6-on-5, and then we'll bring an extra guy in later on. All right, but those guys, those 5 defenders, they've got to run in and touch the shirt. Coach might stand out here. He'll roll the ball to one of the middies. He'll roll it to one of the attackmen. He'll maybe throw it over the top, and they just play. And then we'll say go, and that extra guy, that 6th guy, will run in there. We'll pick up on the inside. Again, the only guy we want facing the ball is the guy covering the ball. You hear us all the time yelling out, look away. And this is why we do it. I think when guys look at the ball, when it's behind the goal, lots of things can go on behind them. When they're looking away from the ball, confident that that guy is going to do his job and force the inside roll if he has to, you're going to find the open men. We do a 4-on-4 double team drill. We'll just play 4-on-4, tell the guys with the ball to run with it, and as soon as we see their back, we'll double team them and just start playing and have fun with that. It helps the guys recognize being down a man and recovering. And then finally, sometimes with our defensemen, we'll just send them to another field. Just say, go do stick work, go shoot, go do something else, and we'll make the middies play 6-on-6 in all positions. Make attackmen play 6-on-6 in all positions, both offensively and defensively. And this helps them when they've been inverted. This helps them when they're in the position they don't want to be in. When they've made the slide, the ball's gone around, and now it's settled again. They might be covering an attackman if they're a midi. And all these things will help them be comfortable on defense. And so if you've watched Princeton play, we feel real good about the way we play defense. It may be a little different from what you're teaching, but I think the key thing is to take the slide and go with it. Enjoy the slide, and enjoy the fact that a kid doesn't have to worry about getting beat and getting reprimanded, and go from there. And let your imagination run wild with this thing. It's really a lot of fun. Thanks for coming tonight. I appreciate it.
Given the opportunity to speak at this convention, I decided I'd talk on something